I thought I knew what this place would look like. Dusty streets, empty deserts, maybe a few old buildings and not much else. But the moment I arrived, everything I believed about this country collapsed. Blue domes rose into the sky like something from a dream. Markets buzzed with life, color, and warmth. Ancient cities stood untouched, not behind glass, but alive, breathing. This wasn't a forgotten corner of the world. This was a place full of stories, beauty, and quiet power. And the strange part, almost nobody talks about it. No viral videos, no crowded landmarks, no lines of tourists chasing photos. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Uzbekistan might be one of the most surprising countries on earth, and why discovering it now feels like uncovering a secret. Where in the world is Uzbekistan? So where exactly is this place? Uzbekistan sits in the heart of Central Asia, quietly tucked between Europe and Asia. It doesn't touch the ocean, it doesn't dominate headlines, and for a long time it stayed hidden from the world. But this land has always been a crossroads. For centuries, traders, scholars, and explorers passed through here on the Silk Road, connecting east and west, carrying ideas, spices, and stories across continents. Empires rose and fell on this soil. Knowledge traveled through these cities long before modern borders existed. Today, Uzbekistan remains deeply connected to its past, yet surprisingly untouched by mass tourism. And that's what makes it special, because when you visit Uzbekistan, you're not stepping into a theme park of history. You're stepping into a living, breathing world that most people haven't discovered yet. The Silk Road cities that look like movie sets. There are cities in Uzbekistan that don't feel real, at least not in the way modern cities do. Samarkand is the first shock. You step into Registan Square, and suddenly the world goes quiet. 3 massive madrasas stand perfectly aligned, covered in blue mosaics that shimmer under the sun. The patterns are so detailed, so precise, that your eyes don't know where to rest. This wasn't built to impress tourists, it was built to last centuries. Then there's Bukhara, a city that feels like a living museum. Narrow streets twist between ancient walls, wooden doors hide peaceful courtyards, and time seems to slow down. People still live here, pray here, work here, and finally, Khiva, a city wrapped in walls, glowing softly at sunset. From above, it looks like a film set. From inside, it feels like stepping into another century. These were once some of the most important cities on earth. Caravans crossed deserts to reach them. Scholars gathered here to study astronomy, medicine, and philosophy. Empires fought to control them, and yet today they're calm, uncrowded, untouched by chaos. Walking through these streets doesn't feel like visiting history. It feels like history never left. And just when you think the architecture is the most impressive part, you realize something else defines this place even more. A culture built on hospitality, not performance. In Uzbekistan, hospitality isn't a service, it's a reflex. People don't welcome you because you're a tourist. They welcome you because you're a guest. You're invited to sit. Tea is poured without asking. Food appears before you even realize you're hungry. There's no rush, no expectation, no performance. In a world where hospitality is often packaged and sold, Uzbekistan feels refreshingly human. Conversations happen slowly. Smiles are quiet. Kindness feels genuine, not rehearsed. Families still eat together. Neighbors look after one another. Strangers treat you like someone who belongs, if only for a moment. You don't feel like you're being watched. You don't feel like you're being sold an experience. You feel welcomed. And that sense of warmth stays with you long after you leave the markets, the mosques, and the old city walls behind. Because in Uzbekistan, the most unforgettable part of the journey isn't what you see. It's how you're treated. There is also the food you didn't know you'd crave. Uzbek food doesn't try to be trendy. It doesn't need to be. Meals here are built around comfort, patience, and sharing. The heart of it all is plof, a slow-cooked dish of rice, meat, carrots, and spices. Every region has its own version, and every family swears theirs is the best. But plof is more than food. It's tradition, it's celebration, it's community. Bread is treated with respect. Fresh loaves are baked daily in clay ovens, stamped with beautiful patterns and placed at the center of the table like something sacred. There are crispy samsa filled with meat and onions, steaming bowls of lagman noodles, and endless cups of tea poured as conversations stretch into the afternoon. Nobody eats alone if they don't want to. Food is meant to be shared, not rushed. And that's what makes it memorable. You don't leave Uzbekistan remembering fancy restaurants. You leave remembering warmth. Meals that slow you down and remind you that eating isn't just about feeding the body. It's about connection, the Soviet shadow still visible today. For all its ancient beauty, Uzbekistan also carries the marks of a very different era. Wide boulevards, concrete buildings, grand, symmetrical city plans. This is the Soviet legacy, still visible in cities like Tashkent. The architecture feels heavy, disciplined and purposeful, standing in sharp contrast to the delicate mosaics of the Silk Road cities. For decades, Uzbekistan lived behind closed borders, shaped by centralized control and strict systems. Education, order, and structure became deeply rooted in everyday life. And while the Soviet Union is long gone, its influence hasn't disappeared. You can feel it in the way cities are organized, in the seriousness of public spaces, in the quiet resilience of the people. But what's remarkable is how Uzbekistan has absorbed this past without being defined by it. Rather than erasing history, the country has layered it, ancient, Soviet, and modern, into one complex identity. And that layered identity is what makes Uzbekistan so unexpectedly fascinating. Modern Uzbekistan. Young, creative, changing. Uzbekistan isn't frozen in the past. It's quietly moving forward. Walk through its cities today, and you'll see a young generation shaping something new. Cafes fill with students on laptops. Street art appears beside old walls. Traditional clothes mix effortlessly with modern fashion. There's a sense of curiosity here, a desire to connect with the world without losing identity. Young people speak multiple languages, start small businesses, and dream beyond borders while still respecting tradition. Technology is spreading, creativity is growing, and optimism feels real. What makes this change special is its balance. Modern life doesn't replace the old, it lives alongside it. Ancient mosques stand near modern coffee shops. Long-standing customs coexist with fresh ideas. Uzbekistan isn't rushing to reinvent itself, it's choosing its pace. And in a world obsessed with speed, that calm confidence feels rare and deeply refreshing. Nature you never see on Instagram. Beyond the cities, Uzbekistan opens into something vast and quiet. Endless deserts stretch to the horizon. Rolling steppeland disappears under open skies. Snow-capped mountains rise in the distance, untouched and unfiltered. There are roads where you won't see another car for miles, villages where life moves slowly, places where silence feels louder than noise. This is a side of Uzbekistan most people never see and never post. There are no crowds chasing viewpoints, no signs telling you where to stand, no filters needed, just space. Nature here doesn't compete for attention. It doesn't try to impress. It simply exists, wide, raw and honest. And maybe that's why it feels so powerful. In a world constantly demanding your focus, Uzbekistan's landscapes offer something rare, the freedom to pause, breathe, and feel small in the best possible way. With cities this beautiful and a culture this rich, the real question is simple. Why isn't everyone here already? Uzbekistan doesn't chase attention. It hasn't been shaped by influencer culture or mass tourism. There are no crowds fighting for the same photo, no prices inflated to impress visitors. Travel here still feels personal. It's affordable, it's safe, and people genuinely want you to be here. But more than that, Uzbekistan doesn't try to sell itself. It waits quietly, confident in what it offers, and that patience has protected it. When you walk its streets, you don't feel like a customer, you feel like a guest. The experience isn't rushed or packaged. It unfolds naturally at its own pace. In a world where so many places feel overexposed, Uzbekistan remains refreshingly untouched. And that might be its greatest luxury. But there's a question we rarely stop to ask. What happens when the world finally discovers a place like this? When quiet streets become crowded? When simple moments turn into content? When authenticity becomes a selling point? Uzbekistan stands at a crossroads, not of trade this time, but of attention. Can it welcome the world without losing its soul? Can it grow without becoming overwhelmed? The answer isn't clear yet, and maybe that uncertainty is part of its beauty. Because right now, Uzbekistan still feels like a place that belongs to itself, not to algorithms, trends or timelines, and experiencing it before that changes feels less like travel and more like a privilege. So, will Uzbekistan surprise you? If you're looking for loud attractions or constant excitement, maybe not. But if you're drawn to places that reveal themselves slowly, Uzbekistan stays with you. It's not just the blue domes or ancient streets. It's the quiet hospitality, the shared meals, the feeling of being welcomed without expectation. Uzbekistan doesn't perform for visitors. It doesn't rush to impress. It simply exists, layered with history, shaped by resilience, and carried forward by a young, hopeful generation. Long after you leave, you don't remember a checklist of sights. You remember moments, conversations, stillness, and that's the kind of surprise that lasts. Uzbekistan isn't trying to be the world's most famous destination. It's something rarer, a place that feels real. If you enjoy discovering places before the rest of the world catches on, subscribe for more calm, cinematic travel documentaries like this, stories that go deeper than the usual highlights.